right, episode 138. We're back, Rob.
Episode 138.
We're back.
It seems like just yesterday it was episode 137.
Do you remember when we used to do this every day? We did. Remember
It wasn't a long run.
when we started the podcast? We rocked one of these things every day.
Yeah. I don't know how long that lasted.
I don't know either, but it lasted longer than you think it did. I think
That's what you said.
we had a lot of things to say to a lot of different people, and now we don't have anything to say anymore. So we scaled back. I think we recorded one of these about a week. I think.
Yeah. Well, is this our first two-parter?
I mean, we've had follow-ups. I'd say this is a direct two-parter.
First half, second half.
Yeah. This is a direct two-parter. Tailing on the excitement of yesterday's AI drama. So we've had an update. So it literally is the next day.
Yeah.
And we have a follow-up. We did. So I think you should just jump right in.
It was a cliffhanger, last episode, cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And we are here to, as a follow-up. I'm going to start by reading an email.
Okay, here we go. This is exciting.
That I received.
Are we putting people on blast? I mean, are we putting that out into the interwebs? Or no, we're still keeping it confidential?
There's no other.
Okay. I mean,
It shall remain nameless.
Okay, got it.
I'm not putting people on blast.
Yeah.
Here's the email. Dear Mr. Broadfoot.
Ooh, sounds formal.
I would like to address the situation regarding the use of AI detectors and version history. While these tools can be helpful, they are not infallible, and I must rely on the resources at my disposal. Ultimately, it was a judgment call, and I made a bad call.
Ooh, bad judgment.
I have had a conversation with your daughter, and I firmly believe in her sincerity.
Okay.
I deeply regret the misunderstanding as her expression conveyed genuine emotion. I will be retracting any documentation related to this matter and will extend my apologies to your daughter.
Got it.
I will prioritize resolving this issue promptly. Should you have any additional questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out. Best regards.
Okay.
So, quick recap.
Yeah. For those that listened 5 minutes
ago. There was
an
AI detection tool used against an in-class essay that my daughter wrote. She's a sophomore in high school.
Right.
And the teacher used the tool and determined that AI was in fact used to generate part of the paper, and she was accused of that. Plagiarism, modern day plagiarism, let's call it.
Yeah.
To which, my daughter vehemently denied this and was very, very upset about it, as was I. It's been a stressed out 24 hours.
There's been a lot of
as a
conversation.
parent when your child's accused of something like this, and then anyway. Kudos to the school and the teacher.
Yeah.
First, kudos to my daughter. She stood up for herself.
Yep.
Went and spoke with the teacher. It's a great lesson for her. Believe in yourself, stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
And then kudos to the school for following up with the proper response and resolution to the issue. So it's a happy ending.
Yeah. Yeah.
But part of the reason we were talking about this in the first place is just sort of AI, sort of in that sandbox. And what I find interesting is this. So I ended up taking the portion of the essay that was in question.
Sure.
And I actually put it into Chat GPT.
Okay.
And said, hey, check this for grammar.
Okay. Check it for grammar. That's interesting. Okay.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Because if AI did generate it, in theory, it should
use proper grammar.
It should use proper grammar.
Yes.
And this is not a knock on my daughter's writing skills.
Okay.
However, the results were, there are 4 grammatical errors. And you and I discussed these for a moment after the podcast yesterday. But there were 4 grammatical errors.
Yeah. Yeah. The 2 things we discussed after the podcast was, once the shock had worn off of like what's happening right now, right, was, hey, if you actually read this, it really doesn't feel like AI wrote it because of the grammar.
Correct.
Not that it's incorrect grammar. It's that it felt colloquial to a human being, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely did. And so, as I was getting amped up today to go back to the school and, plead my case and do all the things in support of my daughter.
Sure.
One of my key pieces of evidence was going to be, well, my robot said that there are errors here.
Yeah.
How can that be if a robot generated it in the first place?
Sure.
We were going to go, my robot says this, your robot says this.
Yeah.
Point being, the robots aren't perfect.
No. No. I think for me, the bigger umbrella over this entire thing, especially utilization of AI, right, is what I wrote down, taking notes here, is not a concept, but is the aspect of critical thinking.
Sure.
Just critical thinking, right? And we are in such an immediacy as a society. I gotta do this and that thing. I've got to deadline clients, right? And it's just copy and paste and this, and write an email, you know. And it's like, if stop for 1 second, literally 5 seconds, and just do like arguably the least amount of critical thinking possible, and apply it to the subject matter at hand, and then determine, hey, what are the proper next steps there, right? So like to spin it around to real world here, one of the things that the youngest of designers that we hire from time to time, or junior, junior graphic designers or whatever like that, right? An aspect of critical thinking is, hey, client came in and was told you to make these changes, right? Oh, hey, remove this paragraph, or we've got this brochure, or change this or that, or whatever that. Okay, well, it isn't just delete that paragraph and then leave that big honking empty white space on the right. I mean, there is a trickle down factor of, hey, make this one change, but then you still need to stop and look at it.
Yeah.
And go, hey, wait a minute.
Does this make sense?
Does this make sense? Yeah. Exactly. Critical thinking. Does this make sense? Right? Yeah. Hey, AI said that these 3 sentences kind of maybe sort of might have been done by AI. Well, stop for a minute and go, hey,
let me read this and think about this.
Does this make sense? Yeah. Right? And we're in this weird, like, people don't have critical thinking anymore. They just immediately react. It's just, oh, somebody said something. This is the way it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, hold on a second here. Maybe that's not the best use of judgment. Or, hey, let me just play devil's advocate for 1 second and say, hey, I know you asked me to do this, but what about this instead? Or things like that, right? The robots, it's like we can't cede all brain power to the robots.
And I would venture to guess, in this specific instance, if you were to write, Don writes an essay.
But by the way, in class.
Oh yeah, it was written. There are details that I've left out. That this was written in class, being monitored.
Yeah, so
come on.
Yeah. Okay, so Don writes an essay.
So Don, you write an essay, or a poem. Let's say you write a beautiful love poem
haikus
to your wife. Okay, I guarantee you, if I took that and copied it, ran it through, Zero GPT or whatever, and said, "Did AI write this?" It would spit out, there is a chance that AI could have written this.
Sure.
I doubt there's a very limited percentage of time where it's like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't make sense. There's always going to be some chance that AI could have written it, I think.
Yeah. I mean, again,
I'm making assumptions, but
I'm not smart enough to know how it even works in the first place. Like, is it checking pattern based?
Yes.
Do humans write in patterns?
Yes.
And that's why yesterday you were saying, hey, the longer the text, the more runway we have, the easier it is for the machines to determine if it was created by a machine or not.
Yeah.
But that is because humans write to a pattern?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, let's find
we have
an
a
author.
cadence?
There's a reason that, Charles Bukowski sounds like Charles B. He's got a very unique...
Okay.
It's why authors write the way that Stephen King, he's got a very unique style of writing. And then, so the longer the text, the easier it is for the robots to go, oh, I see the patterns. I see the language. I see the almost mathematics behind the language and the patterns. And they can then identify things that fall outside of that typical pattern.
Yeah.
Which is why one of the main points when I was researching this yesterday was the very first point that came up, when you dive into what's wrong with, AI detectors.
Sure.
The first problem is, it doesn't work for short, passages because they can't, it's not long enough to identify a pattern.
Sure.
So therefore it's going to say, well, certainly could have been written by a computer. I don't know.
I'm sitting here chuckling because I'm shifting gears for one quick second.
Sure.
There used to be a Post-it note in that desk over there. Do you remember that? Do you remember what that Post-it note used to say?
I remember who I posted it for. I'm not going to say that.
No.
But I do remember.
It said "write like a human."
Yeah, write like a human.
Write like a human, and it was direction for a copywriter.
It was direction for a copywriter,
which is so funny to think about. Only because it had nothing to do with AI. It was like, don't be mechanical about headline creation.
That's right.
You know, it's advertising. There's a conversational marketing aspect about it, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, hey, you know, the feedback you gave him was write like a human. You know, who he then like wrote that down on a Post-it note and put it in his office as a reminder to like, hey, get the facts out. You always got to do your first draft. Get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out, right? And then it's like, hey, how would you just say this to someone instead of writing it as a white paper, for example?
That's a great lesson for all junior writers, because we have a tendency to, when we first starting, like, okay, this has to sound all professional and sound and no,
just write like a human. I know. So, random weird side note I thought about as that person's office is across from our studio. Human. Yeah, right like a human.
Wow, that really holds up, doesn't it?
It does. It does. And that was all...
Especially now.
Man, that was
years ago.
Pre-AI. I can't believe I just remembered that. Well, it was up there forever.
It was.
And it's not up there right now, so I'm looking.
We should have put it on the fridge.
Yeah, we should have.
Lasting advice. Yep. Right like a human.
Right like a human. Yeah, critical thinking. I don't know. Are there any other aspects to critical thinking? I think that, you know, if we pivot into like advertising and design and
I think it's just that, and you touched on it. I'll reiterate. You know, we always tell our folks, you got to stop and think. Like you just got to stop and think.
It's not always just a reaction.
Yeah, and there's sometimes where, okay, you know, whether it's, you know, if you're designing something, right? If you're creating an image, okay, well, does it make sense? Does this make sense what we're doing? We're not, the client wants us to do this, but we can push back, and we should push back.
Yeah, and clients ask for the weirdest things on earth. They're like, I want to mix these three things together, and like, those don't go together.
Here's an example of when clients don't critically think.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a, I don't know, 16-page Word doc. Okay, and I would like for this to be
where this is going.
A 4-pager.
Yeah.
A 4-page brochure.
Yeah.
And you just kind of go, huh.
Yeah.
Are we staring at the same 16 full pages of text?
Like single space, barely any paragraphs in there.
That are also on 8.5 by 11 pages.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's one-to-one what we're doing.
Yeah.
And somehow we're supposed to fit that 16 pages into 4 pages.
Yeah, that happens more than I'd like to admit.
It does. It's crazy.
Yeah. Here's a 6-page Word doc, and it's a front and back 5x7 postcard. You know, it's like, wait a minute here.
What?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
I think, you know, I don't know. It's an unfortunate consequence of just how fast paced everything is.
It's true.
Is that, you know, we're just shuffling things back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to get to the deadline. We got to get the trade show, the ad, the insertion, and it's like, whoa. Hold on a second here.
Stop and think.
Yeah. Stop and think for 30 seconds.
Does this make sense?
Yeah. And that applies to the robots as well.
Yep.
You know, so.
Yep. Anyway.
All right. Well, robot update part 2.
Thank God the story ended this way. I was going to be really, well, we wouldn't have published the podcast if it
No, we would have just delayed our recording until there was.
If it had gone the other way.
Yeah. We'd be asking the public for help on what other AI sniffers to find out.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fun times.
Anyway, that's it.
All right. All the robots can find us at mocktheagency.com.
That's
on all
right.
the socials.
And so can the humans. Just think. Use your brain, and I bet you can find us.
Type into the magical Google machine.
We're going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
Trust the humans.
All right. Thanks, everybody.